Hello everyone, this is Arif and today we are here with the new CIA syllabus, exam syllabus overview. And in this video we would be going through what are the key content that has been part of the new exam structure, and overall how you can get registered for the exam, and what are the passing score, exam fee, these kind of stuff we will be discussing in today's our video. This is a brief overview of my professional career. I have the professional certification, some of the leading one, including ACCA, CIA, CISA, CPA, and CFE. I have 15 years of experience, and I have a bachelor's and a master's in accounting. I work in different countries, and in my some of my previous roles, and in my current position I'm heading the internal audit department. um, this is just an overview of overall my experience, and just in case if you are interested in knowing me more, you can connect me through the LinkedIn, or you can post this slide and review. It is just to endorse that most of the content which I'll be covering, hopefully in the CIA study course, is based on my professional knowledge and my practical experience as well. Before we start with the CIA exam and its structure, it is important to know that the CIA exam is being governed by the Institute of Internal Auditor. It is one of the leading non-for-profit organization for the internal auditors. It has more than 260 members across 170 countries. Some of the leading professional qualification which the institute offer is CIA, which is Certified Internal Auditor, CIP, Internal Audit Practitioner, and CRMA, which is Certificate in Risk Management. Previously there were a bit more, but I'm glad that CIA has condensed and focused more on the core internal audit. Earlier there were too many, but now they have condensed to three, and they are more focusing on the core and main certification. CIA exam mainly have three parts. The first part is basically which talks about the internal audit fundamentals, which sets the basically the foundation of the internal audit activities, which comprises the exam comprises of 125 MCQs, and it's a 2.5-hour exam. The CIA part 2 basically have 100 MCQs, and it's basically talks about the internal audit engagements. So in the first part we talk about the fundamentals, and the second part is more about the engagement, how you can perform an internal audit activity. As I told you, it has 100 MCQs, and it's comprises of 2 hours duration. CIA Part 3, it's all about the internal audit function, how we have to have internal audit function, the independence of the internal audit function, the reporting line, and related to the how, if just presume yourself as a head of the department or internal audit manager, how you can run the internal audit function. It is more focused toward that. And again, the assessment exam questions comprises of 100 MCQs, and it's of 2 hours. CIA give you another a quick option to pursue the CIA certification. As we earlier stated in the previous slide, that there are 3-part exam, but there is another way to get a quick CIA certification, which is by appearing in our challenge exam, which comprises of only one exam. The people who are eligible are for or the people who can apply for it, supposedly to be someone who already have a CA certificate or qualification, ACCA, CPA, or CISA. These are some of the entry route. Basically these are the leading qualification which are administered under IFAC, which is International Federation for Accountants. In case if you have any other qualification and you believe that you might be eligible, so you have to raise your case individually to the CIA, but these are the main one which generally um, allow you an entry path, whereas you only appear in one challenge exam, and if you pass that exam, you become a CIA. So this is a great initiative for the people who already have an accounting and audit background. So it is an easy and quick way to become a certified internal auditor. This exam comprises of 150 MCQs, and the duration is 3 hours. Um, though it is 150 and 3 hours, it apparently seems like we have more time, but this exam covers the entire syllabus of CIA. So all three parts, fundamental, engagement, and function, part 1, part 2, and part 3, are together being assessed in this exam. Now let's talk about how you can enroll in the CIA exam. So simply, the official website is the theia.org. This is the main website for the Institute of Internal Auditor. There you will find an option for certification. So once you click on that option, then you can click on new to certification, and there you can find the earlier mentioned three certifications options to click on, either IAP, Internal Audit Practitioner, CRMA, or CIA, and most likely if you are intending to go for the CIA, you will click on CIA, and from there you will find a lot of instructions that how you can pursue the additional steps to get enrolled for the CIA, and you will also have a candidate handbook which provide you a great overview of what are the key eligibility criteria, exam fee, and other stuff. We will discuss here quickly, but that could be your hands-on document by which you can assess and have a guide through which you can follow the instruction. Generally, in all the CIA exam, you have a portal called CCMS. It's a candidate portal where you have to register, and then from there you apply for the membership or examination for the exam fee. So everything is being managed through CCMS, and there is that link in the website. So it's a simple steps. The website has a lot of information, but this is a quick way to navigate through how you can get direct access to the certification related information. Now let's talk about the exam fee. So for the three-part exam, you have to pay for CIA application fee, which is $120 if you are a member, and if you are not a member, you have to pay 240 USD for the CIA exam application. Then for each part, you have to pay additional subsequent fee, which I have stated here. So for part 1, you have to pay 310 USD if you are a member, and 445 USD if you are a non-member. Similarly, for part 2, you have to pay 280 if you are a member, and 415 if you are a non-member. And for part 3, 280 and 415 if you are a non-member. These exam fee keep on revising, so you might be watching this video a bit while, and there might be possibility that these fee has been revised. So always try to go back to the website and check what are the exam fee. This is for your guidance only. It is always recommended that initially when you intend to go for the exam, try always to become a member, because by becoming a member you save a lot in each exam fee. So eventually it's much cheaper for you to become a member and then get a discounted rate rather than being a non-member and pay a hefty fee. Similarly, if you are intending to go for a challenge exam, then you have to pay 1,255 USD as a member and 1,625 USD as a non-member. So these are some of the high-level examination fee, overview of the examination fee for the CIA. In terms of membership fee, since we already have concluded that it's better to be a member and get a discounted fee. For students, it's free, so they will ask for certain evidences and your current some letter from the university that you're currently you're studying and you're a student, and you can get some resources as well. If you're a student, I believe you cannot directly pursue CIA, but you can go for other certification IAP, which is Internal Audit Practitioner, and subsequently you can move to CIA once you have the bachelor's degree. If you are a graduate, then you can go for an individual membership, which is 290 at this point when I'm recording the video, USD. But it, as I always keep on telling you, that these fee are not static, it keep on revising, so always reach out to the website, the official website, to look for the current prevailing membership fee. Always remember that there are other types of membership: executive membership, there are institutional membership, corporate membership, those where different corporations, they have a big team and they wanted to enroll and get discount for everyone, so those are a separate one, and they get some other benefits as well, some resources. But for our sake, for as a CIA candidate, you most likely would be pursuing the individual membership, which is 290 at the moment. So CIA exam passing rates differ from time to time and part to part, but generally make a conservative uh, mm, estimate of 40% of the people who appear in the exam pass it successfully in each attempt, which is relatively lower. And for some parts, it might vary, it might reach to 50%, and in some, it's 40%. The passing score is on a weighted average method, which is there is a scale of 250 to 750. And in case if you score 600 and plus, you would be considered pass, which approximately you can assume around 80% of the MCQs you have to make it correct. But it is not very straightforward, because in the 100 MCQs, not every MCQ weighted the same. For example, not every MCQ constitute like 1 mark. Sometime it might be 0.5 and the other MCQ could be 1.5 based on complexity. It's a bit complex, but just for your own understanding, keep in mind that you need to score approximately 80% or make it correct 80% of the MCQs in order to ensure that you pass the exam. Now we will go into a bit more detail what are the key topics that has been covered in the CIA Part 1. So CIA Part 1 is about the fundamentals of internal audit, which set the foundation for the internal audit. So it talks about the key concept, the definition, and the ethics which are required for the internal auditor. Then in internal audit, generally we classify our audit activities into two main category. The first one is advisory services, which is mean consulting services by which we are helping the management in achieving their organizational objectives without taking the ownership, just as an advisor. The other one is assurance services. Assurance services, you can presume, is 80% of our job, which is the core of the internal audit, by which we assess certain area of the businesses and identify if there is an area for improvement, weaknesses, non-compliances. So these are the things which we identify. So when we are checking as an independent, for the sake of understanding, like an inspector, to check certain processes or organizational areas or departments, whether they are in compliance with the company policies, procedures, government regulations. If there is any control weaknesses, controls are most likely in the what you call these are the systems which are in place to mitigate any adverse risk. So to give those assurance on the company practices, We constitute under assurance services and advisory, as I told you, where we, as a consultant or as an advisor, we give an advice to the company on certain areas. So these are the two core main area. The third, which they cover, is GRC, governance, risk, and control. These are key fundamental concepts which help us in advisory and the assurance services. And the last one is there is a dedicated topic which covers about fraud risk, which is also important for the internal auditor to understand what are the fraud risks, to know what are the key red flags of the fraud risk, and it is one of the core element as well. Though we are not supposed to be a fraud specialist, because sometimes we might have a competence or the requisite skill set to undertake a fraud engagement. Sometimes we don't have. So for that, when we don't have, then we go and outsource such skill and competence, and we onboard them for investigations. So overall, if you conclude, it talks about some of the fundamental definitions, what are the key ethical principles, types of audit engagement that we perform, advisory or assurance, and concept related to governance, risk, controls, and fraud risk. This is the overall syllabus of CIA Part 1. This is a snapshot or overview of the IIA resource, Institute of Internal Audit resource, where they have highlighted these four areas, and they have mentioned how much coverage is from the exam perspective. So foundation of internal audit, inclusive of the ethics and types of audit engagement, assurance, and advisory, that make it up to 35% of the overall syllabus. You can presume out of 125 MCQs, 40 plus MCQs might be coming from this area. Then ethics and professionalism, oh, to my mistake, in the first one, ethics and professionalism exclusive. So the second topic, ethics and professionalism, comprises of 20%. Approximately 25 MCQs might come from this area. GRC 30% and fraud risk 15%, and similarly the number of MCQs 30 and 20 plus might come from these areas. It's important to know one thing, make sure that in the CIA syllabus we cannot skip anything, because we have very little margin of safety, as we have to achieve a higher percentage. And secondly, it is important to know, because then you know how much importance or effort you have to give in each section of the CIA syllabus. So this is an overall overview of the syllabus coverage from the exam perspective, and number of MCQs, which is a rough approximate that might appear from each section. CIA Part 2, I believe, is the most difficult part, and it is very complex, and the syllabus is humongous. I try to simplify in my own way to give you a quick overview what basically covers in CIA Part 2, which CIA Part 2 is about the internal audit engagements. So in Part 1 we talk about the fundamentals, and now we are where we set the foundation of internal audit, and now we will talk about in the CIA Part 2 the audit engagement. So if from the start till end, how you perform an audit engagement. So the overall syllabus, you can say, could be divided into two sections. The first one is about business, where the CIA resources basically try to give you some basic understanding of the businesses, business areas, which are very fundamental to know, because unless you know the key business areas, then only you will be able to perform audit procedures and carry out audit. So in the business, it talks about some of the business cycles, for example, purchase cycle, procure to pay, we call it. It could be sales and receivable cycles. It could be HR processes. So some of the business process cycles. And then it also gives an overview of the accounting concepts, be it accounting or management accounting. Then it also talks about cybersecurity and some overall frameworks, which is control framework and risk frameworks. And there is another addition to this syllabus in the new syllabus, which is business continuity. Um, uh, this is also an important part of the syllabus. So these are topics related to business, and then we have an audit. So audit section basically it comprises of what are the key components of the internal audit engagement, basically the internal audit cycle, what are the resources that are required, how we perform the risk assessment, how we identify, collect and analyze information, how we perform our documentation during the audit engagement, how we communicate our audit results, and overall the audit supervision. So basically, if you have the good basic sound fundamentals understanding and from CIA part 1 and the audit engagement entire life in the entire cycle from initiation till communication, then basically you yourself can perform an audit engagement. So it's very comprehensive. They have designed the exams in a very practical manner. um, and from there, from part 2 we advance to part 3, which is more about how to manage the internal audit function. So in CIA Part 2 syllabus, as per the IIA, it is not very elaborative in overall summary wise. It comprises of three main areas. Basically, this is the what we call it audit cycle. So engagement planning, how you plan your audit engagement, information gathering, analysis and evaluation, and supervision and communication. So basically, it covers the entire audit cycle. But as I have told you, we cannot carry out an audit engagement until we know some basics about the businesses. So in this part, they go in detail to talk about business concepts as well. Overall syllabus coverage, the first planning part comprises of 50%, information gathering and evaluation is 40%, and supervision and communication is 10%. And subsequently, you can presume that 50% of MCQs come from the engagement planning. A lot of MCQs, case-based scenarios, quick small cases where you have to select the right answers might come from the planning, 50%, information gathering and evaluation 40%, and engagement, supervision and communication 10%. So this is the overall overview of CIA Part 2. CIA Part 3 basically talks about the overall management of the internal audit function, and you can see it's a natural transition starting from discussing in part 1 about the fundamentals, in part 2 about the audit engagements and business processes, and in part 3 it talks about how you manage the internal audit function. So some of the key components of the CIA Part 3 is about how you devise the internal audit strategy and communicate to the governing bodies or management, CEO or the board members, how you form your internal audit plan, how you communicate the audit engagement results, and how you monitor the audit findings and their follow-ups in terms of corrective measures, and overall quality of the internal audit engagement. So it's very straightforward, similar to part 1, where you have a very structured approach, and it's relatively, I believe, it's easier part 1 and part 2. However, part 1 and part 3 is easier, and part 2 might be the most challenging part in the new CIA exam structure. Here we are with the overall overview of the overall CIA Part 3 syllabus. The first one is about, there are 4 components. The first one is about internal audit operation, which covers 25% of the syllabus. The second one is about internal audit plan. The third one is about quality of the internal audit function. And the fourth one is about engagement results and monitoring. And subsequently, 25% comprises of operation. Internal audit plan comprises of 15% of the syllabus. Quality of internal audit function comprises of 15%, and lastly, the engagement results and monitoring comprises of 45%, which is nearly half of the syllabus. And similarly, you can see if you have an exam of 100 MCQs, how many MCQs may appear from each section. This is an overview of the entire CIA new exam syllabus and structure. Hope it is comprehensive enough for you to understand the structure, the syllabus, the exam fee, how to register. Going forward, please pray for me that I have the consistency and I get out and I'm able to take out some time to start uploading and preparing videos for CIA Part 1 initially, and subsequently for Part 2 and Part 3. Similar to the previous and old syllabus, I have compiled all the lectures and everything. Let's hope if just the start of initial steps toward a long journey, and I need your prayers and your encouragement to go about it, and hopefully we will succeed together. And till then, till next time, we will stay in touch and subscribe to the channel just in case if you are interested in pursuing the CIA and intending to have some free resources in terms of lectures. So yeah, so stay in touch and till next video. um, Take care. Bye bye.